Take us back a bit to the earlier days. How did you stumble into the venture world and the world of startups?
Yeah, I first of all, as I'm from Estonia and we are lucky to have Skype and so many other unicorns, I basically have been living in like doing internet related things quite long time, basically all my life. I have been coding back in days, so I know that side. But my first startup was I did it basically in the worst time. It was 2008 financial crisis. So my first startup was United Dogs and Cats, which is like a Facebook for dogs and cats. That you had a Facebook, basically you had a dog profile and cat profile, and it was my first startup. I got amazing people joining that one. I did so many things wrong. It's so difficult to scale B2C company from tiny country because the things that working in tiny micro country like Estonia would not might work in Germany, would not work in UK and US. But yeah, this was my first startup, and if you do it, if you feel entrepreneurial life, it's kind of like you don't want to be anymore like working for someone else. And from that moment, I have been doing companies and exactly from company which wasn't success. We had lots of bad media coverage. That, oh my god, this company failed. They didn't succeed. They had to close the doors. It was actually news, which is kind of crazy. Back in 2010 when we needed to close it down. And but from that I took most of the team and we was way more successful with Pipedrive, which we exactly built it to the unicorn and which is still going great, growing. And I have met more than 1,000 of our clients worldwide, and it's amazing feeling to go any country and like, hi, I'm perhaps the co-founder and how you use Pipedrive. It's just unbelievable.
So, what did you do differently then with Pipedrive? So, how did you decide on what model to tackle, how to start, what were mistakes you didn't want to do twice?
Yeah, amazing thing. First of all, like, even though I need to be telling that we was in good way naive, because if we started 2010 building a CRM, so many people found it super boring. So it was like, what? CRM? Why? Like this is boring idea. Like this is not cool. And it was really difficult. Uh, but we were so naive because we started to build very practical tool, and naive was that if he was going to the US 2011, so many people was like, "You are crazy. You are competing with Salesforce. Look, here is the three skyscrapers in San Francisco." And I was always like, "Okay, cool. I haven't never used Salesforce." She was like, "What?" But what we did differently was like we focused heavily the value proposition and also how we can start to make immediately revenue. That was just like we immediately agreed in the early days we can only measure our success by the revenue. We had even in the company public dashboard showing our main KPIs, and we had in the early days one basically audio system which played basically some song. Assume we got a new client who putting credit card in. So we first of all we understood that the sales is more universal, like how you actually sell, working surprisingly similar way as a main principle. It's just you have to basically contact, communicate, and so on. And we also picked, I think that the crucial was, but we are lucky in Estonia, we have amazing community of great designers. We built B2B SaaS tool which has a B2C feeling. That it was all about how you would start to use tool, which is fundamentally super difficult. In CRMs, usually you need to go and do the training and so on. How we can build tools that you can start to use it in few minutes. Maybe the most extreme and same time funny story is that back in the beginning we had one of the most unusual use cases. So there was a one girl from New York who was tweeting that she used Pipedrive for finding a boyfriend, which is like was like what the hell. But the point was she had 10 candidates and she had approaches, and she wanted to basically she built it first stage, second stage, and so on. But this was maybe one of the examples that it was so easy. so that it's not scares you off and so on. And also what we put so bluntly focused was who is our end user. And instead of picking manager, which is many times is picked because manager putting credit card in the base, we was looking how we can make salesperson life easier, build everything around that and simplifying. So this is basically, and being very humble, very conservative, and holding costs down and so on. It all played off in the long term. Even though I need to tell, we was great in building a product. We was average in fundraising and other things, but and also we was lucky that we managed to build the team, which some people had basically even recently worked in 2 companies, in Skype and in Pipedrive. And in Estonia at that moment, it was great to build loyal team if you motivate them heavily. And many of them was super happy and lucky because we managed to change their life as well, as it was part of the stock option plan and everything else. So we did many things different, even though we still made so many mistakes, on the way. But I think that, by the way, if I think about my learnings on my way, is that it's super difficult to learn one thing as a founder. Even nowadays, you need to be fine and okay with facts that if you want to do new things, you need to be okay, you still make mistakes every day. If you can't carry that stress, don't be a founder. Why? Because many things what we did 2010 or 15 doesn't work today anymore. It's a new environment. So many things have changed. You can take values with you, but you can't copy this because so many elements just was right in that moment. And in overall, I would say what people don't understand that you can make many things right, but if you don't hit timing is also something which is kind of out of your hand, then you might not basically get to the unicorn because but you can still build great company, by the way.